went back to a maternal home. At that time, it was in the small village of Vasai, you know.
Yeah.
Yeah. So,
Outskirts of Mumbai. Yes.
yes. Now, of course, Vasai is a booming township, so you can hardly call it a village. It could be an insult to it. But at that time, it was really a village in that sense. Yeah.
Mhm.
So there was stigma around, separation and
Mhm.
a parent bringing up a child alone. That created a little bit of negativity in me, and it was maybe my way of looking at the things in life that I hung on to those aspects of life rather than looking at what was nurturing me. Right.
Mhm.
For
Mhm.
instance, we had a fantastic family around us, all right, who were very
Mhm.
supportive. Yeah.
Mhm.
My grandparents, maternal grandparents, my maternal uncle, who was no less a hero, to look up to in
Okay.
life. Fantastic mentor figure, yeah, with great leadership qualities. So,
Mhm.
but sometimes it's like that half glass full and half glass empty.
Mhm.
At that time, it was a juncture in my life where I could only see the half glass empty. Yeah.
Mhm.
One thing led to another, and nothing exceptionally during those years. As I'm saying, it wasn't such
Mhm.
a period of torment or anything in my early years. It was a
Mhm.
mundane lifestyle, if you would ask me.
Mhm. Mhm.
I was a youth without any focus, without any sense of purpose, or without any vision towards what I wanted to do in life. Yeah.
Mhm.
What happened then? I was in my 10th standard
Mhm.
when the first signs of depression came in.
Okay.
All right.
Mhm.
At that time, it was in a milder form. It was, of course, my crucial board exams year.
Mhm.
So it affected my studies to a certain extent, of course.
Mhm.
Uh, but we couldn't identify it at all. It was
Mhm.
like more of a adjustment issue towards adolescence or something like that. It was construed as.
Mhm.
After I think 6 months or so, that episode subsided.
Mhm.
I entered college.
Mhm.
Things were fine for a while. Again, the episodes kept on recurring. Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah. So in my 11th standard, again, I found that there was an intense episode. In my first year in commerce, in the
Mhm.
degree course, the episode was very severe
Okay.
to an extent that it was debilitating. Yeah. It
Okay.
affected my functionality. It was difficult, very difficult to get out of bed, at that time, to
Mhm.
motivate myself to pursue my studies. And
Mhm.
the absolute lack of awareness, I would say, at that time
Mhm.
led to a situation where nobody understood that this boy has got some real challenge which needs to be treated, or
Yeah.
which needs
Mhm.
professional help.
Yep. Yep.
I myself could not place what was happening. I knew there was something terribly wrong with me, but I had no clue what was happening,
Yeah. Yeah.
right? And whom I could seek help from.
Mhm.
So you can see, I'm talking about an era of say 78, 79. Talking
Mhm.
about the year 70, right? So way back then, when there was very little access to knowledge, yeah,
Mhm.
those were the circumstances. Straight
Mhm.
out of college, I joined my uncle's enterprise. He had a sizable enterprise.
Mhm.
He ran a cinema theater in Vasai
Okay.
and
Okay.
a printing press. So
Mhm.
something which got me enthused also, because there was something which could, make, help me take interest in those activities. There's a lot of glamour involved in what we are
Yeah.
doing.
Yeah.
Yeah,
Mhm.
because we were printing cinema film posters. All right, yeah,
Okay.
for
Okay.
some of the big names in Hindi cinema,
Mhm.
NFDC, all those
Mhm.
clients. And so the journey began with my uncle. Yeah.
Mhm.
Parallelly, I
Mhm.
was also facing another illness,
Mhm.
which also was taking roots at the same time.
Okay.
It was a dual threat for me.
Okay.
On
Okay.
one hand, I was fighting an unknown monster which I did not know what was happening to me, and
Mhm.
the other one was identified as asthma.
Okay. Okay.
Again, that started in a milder form.
Mhm.
Yeah, and then it increased in its intensity, right? So year on year, the intensity of the attacks used to get worse and worse. So those were the two parallel things happening. Plus, we were living in an era where life wasn't so easy as it is today, as compared to today. All right. The world wasn't so connected as it is now. Yeah. We had very long and strenuous commutes. Yeah. Our office was in Lamington Road. We were in Vasai, so daily commutes to the office. So it was a bit challenging for a person who's not doing well on the health front. Yeah.
So it was almost like 90 minutes one side.
Yes. One single commute was 90 minutes when things were all in shape, and sometimes there were cancellations and all that. It could take much longer. Yeah. In routine course, it could be 3.5 hours of commuting, right? To and fro, right? Yeah. But it could be more than that also sometimes. Yeah. So of course, but and see, I had an inspiration right in front of me. My uncle was so hardworking. There was no way for me to hold back even a bit. And he himself was such a committed person. He had tremendous health problems himself.
Okay.
Even before I joined him, he had suffered a massive heart attack. Already, very massive heart attack. And at that time, he didn't have angioplasty and all those things, right? So even he had those challenges of coping with those conditions without the top class medical care that we get now. Right? So there was a benchmark that I had to live up to. So Puneet, right? That if he did not hold back in giving his best for the organization, for the family, how could I make this as an excuse, right? Yeah. So that 7 years of working with him became a fantastic experience of learning and experiencing what enterprise in the real world is. Not as a commerce graduate who just tells you about theory and not their, what dealing with clients is, interacting with workers and employees is, the financial stress of keeping an enterprise growing, going through the ups and downs. All these, it was a fantastic learning journey for me. After 7 years with him, I had to part ways because I thought that somehow our ways were not aligned. Yeah. And with a heavy heart, I had to tell him one day that this is not my path. I need to start a venture on my own.
Okay.
Being the gracious human being he was, immediately he agreed to my request. And in fact, he supported me in my venture. That was his graciousness. A person who had nurtured us throughout our most difficult times. For me, it was a feeling of betrayal, right? Yeah, because of his health constraints, he was looking forward to my support to a certain extent. To be honest. But his nature being such a magnanimous person, he said, no problem. Whatever help you need from me, I'm there. Right?
Okay.
So this is the background where I came from. Yeah, it gives you the story of that kind of nurture. So then I set up my own enterprise in audiovisual rental, equipment rentals. And way back in 1989, when I started Frontline Communications, we were among the first 3 companies in Mumbai to have video projection equipment for rentals, multimedia equipment. So you know what it was like, the big projectors that used to be there, not like the compact machines that we see nowadays. That anybody can set up. These were very complex machines to operate, to set up. And so I stuck my neck out and took to a field which was nascent to get into. I had zero background in technology or anything to do with science or electronics, especially electronics, because that was exactly what we are into. But if you're passionate about something, it's easy to pick up the ropes on the way, right? Yeah. And in a few years, we are considered to be among the best in our, peer circle, in Mumbai. And he handled a lot of prestigious clients, right from Microsoft, Oracle,
Okay.
Amway, The Art of Living, you name it, all right.
Then it means it was really big. You were doing very
Yeah,
well.
yeah. So we were well entrenched at that time. Not in the size, sense of the size of the enterprise, because we were very selective of the quality. For us, quality was more important than the size of that organization. It was very focused on giving personalized service to clients. So that the level of satisfaction was not lowered one bit also. Yeah. So everything was going perfectly well. And that is when life throws a surprise at you, doesn't it?
Yeah.
Yeah. Just when everything is working, I mean, to a script, then there has to be a twist in the story, isn't it, Puneet? Yeah.
Yes.
So what was this twist in my story? Uh, the enterprise was around 14 years old. All right. My sister was helping me in the admin part of the organization, and she was a fantastic support to me, a brilliant person in handling all the accounting part, correspondence, and all those things. Yeah. And she was a keen observer of me also. By the way, at that time, I was unmarried. Yeah. Right. So she was the person who would sort of have a clue about what's happening to me in my personal life. And she noticed a lot of things which were going wrong.
Okay.
My behavior, my attitudes, my level of irritability, my impulsiveness, some of the decisions I was taking were quite impulsive. Some related to business, some in personal spending and those kind of things. So she could not pinpoint what the problem was, but she's definitely noticed that there was some big issue happening, right? Which needed to be addressed. After watching me for a long time and trying to tell me that I needed help, professional help, things blew up to such a proportion, out of proportion that she had little choice, but to force me to see a psychologist, right?
Okay.
She booked an appointment at Maya Kriplani's clinic at Jaslok Hospital, who was a famous psychologist at that time. And you won't believe it, she had to virtually pull me to see her, the practitioner. Because in that frame of mind, I was in a mode of denial. What's wrong with me? The problem is with you. That was a typical my way of.
And Vijay, it's a typical thing. Why to go to a psychologist? What's wrong with me? I am perfectly all right. Yes.
Yeah, so I was coming from that angle. You don't know that I have got so many ideas, and you people don't understand that. That is why you think that there is a problem with me. It is not a mental problem, right? It is just that I have got brilliant ideas, and the world is not accepting my ideas. So, in any case, we landed up at the clinic, and on the journey from where we lived in Goregaon to Jaslok Hospital, I was blabbering non-stop. Yeah. And in the interim, my sister had rung up my uncle also, who stayed at Vasai. He had joined us because that was the first time she had let it out beyond the family, because she kept things to ourselves, rather than disturb the extended family. Yeah. Yeah. So I came to, I was in the vehicle, and I remember, Puneet, throughout, I was talking crazy stuff,
Okay.
And non-stop. Non-stop. And my uncle was humoring me, and sort of trying to engage me in a conversation. Yeah. Right. I reached the psychologist's clinic. There the story continued. I would just not stop talking. Yeah. And it was all unrealistic talk. Yeah. I was in a euphoric frame of mind, disconnected with the ground reality. The symptoms were bloody obvious to a practitioner. So she said that you have come to the wrong professional. What Vijay needs is to go to a psychiatrist right away. Yeah. And my sister, being so resourceful, what she did was she had already arranged for an appointment with a psychiatrist. Can you
Mm-hmm.
believe that? Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
Only that confirmation was to be done, but she had said
Mm-hmm.
that she had got all the legwork done. So right from there, from Jaslok Hospital, we were ushered into his clinic at Santa Cruz, Linking Road, Santa Cruz. Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
They kept on talking on the way back also, and in front of the psychiatrist also. And by now, my delusional levels were even more explosive. I was claiming things which were totally unrealistic. Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
So after listening to me for 10 minutes, my psychiatrist told me that I was suffering from manic depressive illness.
Okay. Uh,
That is how bipolar disorder was known as clinically in 2003 when I was
okay.
diagnosed,
Okay.
May 2003.
So 2003 May was the time when you knew that what was the problem with you. Uh,
So, see, the diagnosis happened early because very quickly, I mean, at that point of time,
mm-hmm. Mm-hmm.
because mania symptoms are very easy for a practitioner to, sort of pinpoint. Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
Also, Vijay, for the audience who are listening to us,
Yeah.
just tell what bipolar disorder is.
Yeah. Uh, Bipolar disorder, as the name suggests, it's a mood disorder. Yeah.
Okay, okay.
And bipolar gives away the meaning of the condition, bipolarity. Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
So it is swinging between the extreme mood pendulum
Mm-hmm.
between the two poles, extreme poles. On one hand, there is depression,
Mm-hmm.
and on the other hand, extreme hand is mania. That is the elevated mood phase. Yeah.
Okay, okay,
So
okay.
depression, I think most of the audience knows of. I mean, it is
Yep.
a commonplace term that, I mean,
Yeah.
at
Yeah.
least vaguely people are aware of what depression is. That low phase of mood where there is a lot
Mm-hmm.
of sadness, lack of motivation, you don't want to have any purpose in life,
Yep.
right?
Yep. Yep.
Yeah, so that is essentially what depression makes you feel like, yeah, the worthlessness and yeah, feeling
Mm-hmm.
dejected, cutting off from society. Those are
Mm-hmm.
the mania is the exact opposite of depression.
Okay. Which not many people understand.
So in mania, mood is extremely elevated. Yeah,
Mm-hmm.
uh, energy levels are very high.
Mm-hmm.
In depression, you might not have the energy to get out of bed. Yeah.
Okay.
In mania, it is very difficult to keep the person in bed. Yeah.
Okay.
The
Okay.
energy
Okay.
levels are so high, and the person doesn't get tired. Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
I might go for days together without sleep, and then nobody will notice that this guy is not sleeping. Yeah. So that is
Okay.
the level of energy that the person. The
Mm-hmm.
thoughts are racing. Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
Racing thoughts is a symptom of mania. Yeah.
Okay. Okay.
So, although there is an elevation of mood and there is a lot of energy, but it is all disjointed.
Mm-hmm.
So, at both spectrums of the moods, functionality is affected.
Okay. Okay.
In
Okay.
depression as well as in mania.
Mm-hmm.
It is a myth that people feel that mania is a very productive phase of bipolar
Okay.
disorder.
Okay.
In
Okay.
fact, there is a narrative going around that creative people prefer the manic phase of bipolar disorder because that is a creative phase. I would say no, from my
Okay.
experience and from a lot of from interactions which I have, come across.
Mm.
It is a phase where you cannot really be productive or come up with anything magical. The mind is
Mm.
so distracted, yeah.
Mm.
And you are totally cut off from reality. That is a clear symptom of normal elevated mood phase that a person can feel and in
Mm.
me. Yeah.
Okay. Okay.
Like I used to feel that I have superpowers. Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah.
Mm.
And I was an avatar of Vishnu who had been sent to Earth to solve all of the Earth's problems.
Okay.
And the
Okay.
person actually believes that, right?
Yeah. Yeah. Yeah.
And the conviction is so much, so you can imagine the harm this kind of a belief system that can cause, right? If you're
Yeah.
just letting
Exactly.
it
Yes.
roll, can you
Yeah.
imagine the havoc it can cause, right?
Mm.
It can be very destructive.
Mm.
So, and of course, it's not just about the two poles of moods. That is again a misconception of bipolar disorder. Yeah.
Okay.
In between, also there are other mood phases such as hypomania, which is a milder phase of mania. All right. And the biggest struggle with bipolar disorder, which many people are not aware of, is the cognitive dysfunction.
What does that mean?
That even if the moods are not in a, one is not in a severe mood phase, which is affecting you, like in severe depression or in mania, many people struggle with focus, concentration, memory, decision making, or these processes which are so critical for day-to-day functioning, in your day, in your studying life or in your career, professional careers. You can imagine how.
So now we really understand how severe it is.
Yes.
So it must have an impact on your enterprise also, your business also.
Oh, certainly. Since you asked me this question, Puneet, as I said, that the going was very good for enterprise over a period of 14 years. Yeah, we launched in 89. Everything was going very well. After my diagnosis, I'll tell you the background to this. I was advised hospitalization right away. So from my psychiatrist's clinic, straight away we were rushed to Holy Spirit Hospital in Andheri, Bombay. Right? So I spent a week in hospital. Of course, the first 3-4 days was all chaos. I couldn't make sense of anything that was happening in my life because too much of things, the illness not in control, all the drugs impacting me. But the moment things settled down a little bit, then the impact hit me.
Okay.
And way back in 2003, the lack of awareness, that is what was brought to focus to me at that juncture. The sense of loneliness.
Okay.
The stigma which any mental illness is associated with. Yeah. So those kind of thoughts drowned me and overwhelmed me. Right. And now, what will my peers say? What will my colleagues say about my illness? Yeah. Those were the natural human thoughts that would come to any person. Right. I was not a superhuman, was I? Right. So the immediate thoughts of real world situation. How will I face the real world? Hospital will end somewhere at some point, and then I have to go back and face my clients and my regular friend circle, my colleagues. So how will I do this? Somehow I lost my confidence.
Okay.
Yeah. It was a struggle even after I was discharged from hospital, brought home. And to run any enterprise, you need a lot of passion. Yeah. Yeah.
Yes. Yeah.
I lost that mojo, yeah. Which was the driving force of frontline communications. I did not have that motivation to wake up at 2 in the morning and go for a show at the Taj or the Oberoi anymore.
Okay.
Yeah. Something was holding me back. I said, what is it? I mean, this is not something I should be doing. It was sort of holding me back in my life. Yeah. And then other thoughts sort of came in. Limiting thoughts, the doubts. As I said, we stood for excellence in our field. We had some of the pick of clients from the corporate world, from the entertainment world, from the advertising world. Documentary filmmakers. Zafarai was one of our clients.
Okay.
Right? Yes. Yeah. You know how big a stickler for quality they are, right?
One of the biggest.
Yes.
Yeah.
So to meet up to the expectations of these guys, right? What was I thinking about? Will this illness interfere in my functioning? Will I be letting down a client in a big show of mine? And we have been in this field also in events. It is all live performance. Yeah, there is no time for a pause moment. Yeah, every second matters. Yeah, it is a high stress field. Yeah.
Yep.
So I said, let me go when the going is good. Within in the same year of my diagnosis, we wound up frontline communications.
Okay.
Well, I would say that it was a decision taken not just in an impulsive frame of mind, Puneet. I think it came about at the right juncture also. The field had got far too competitive. Rather than being something which I was finding it as a fun profession to be in, it wasn't, that spirit was no more there in that field. Right?
Okay.
Yeah. So I think I left at the right time. So things, as it happened, so there are no regrets. So I won't say that it is because of the illness that this was forced upon me. Maybe that precipitated that decision. Let's put it this way.
Okay.
Yeah. So as you're saying, of course, this takes a toll on careers, Puneet. Yes. But does that mean that a person cannot hold a career or a high profile job? That's also not the true picture of it. We'll come to that part of it also.
So what you did then after you shut the shop? What was the next step?
There were a lot of, firstly when I shut shop at that juncture, a lot of people had even got annoyed at that time. People who were well-meaning. Do you know what you're doing? It is so difficult to start anything new in these times, right? Yeah, of course, because they were concerned about me, right? I mean, what I would do. They knew how much hard work had been put in to build up frontline communications to that level of success. Yeah. So they thought that I was just throwing it all away, and then it would be difficult to rebuild from there into some new venture. Yeah. That was a natural concern. But I had that belief that something other would come up at the right juncture, and I would try it out, and it would work out. Being a risk taker all my life, that wasn't such a concern, honestly. So I took to life insurance. Why? Firstly, I wanted to do something which would suit my current health situation. At one point of time, one needs to be realistic. Yeah. We can talk about positive attitude and a grand vision and all that, but sometimes one has to get the basics right. Yeah, right. And my uncle had nurtured that kind of instinct in me. Protection of family was most important. In security of family, financially, in other senses, was more paramount than anything else in life. Right.
Yeah.
So to immediately generate some cash stream, I needed to restart a career quickly, right? So in March 2000, I remember in 2004 we shut down Frontline Communications, and in June I was an agent with the Life Insurance Corporation of India. I had done the course, applied for appeared for the exams, and I was an agent, right? So that way I didn't waste too much time in the intervening period either. Yeah, just sitting idle and dwelling over it. For 8 years I did that career, was quite a reasonable success in it as well. In 2008 I even achieved MDRT, the $1 million round table qualification.
That's an achievement for anybody, and with your problems you did that. That's commendable with it.
So then again, that also proves, and that time my health wasn't very good either. And there again, I would like to bring in the role of mentors, Puneet. Yeah.
Okay.
Now I had a fantastic mentor in Jigesh Bhatt, who was my development officer.
Yep.
I was in a very negative mindset, and this is a very important thing that I'm sharing. Yeah. How mindset plays a role in dealing with any challenge in life, Puneet. Yeah. Be it whatever it be. Yeah. So one day he was telling me, Vijay, this year you are going to be an MDRT.
Yeah. Okay.
He set this challenge in front of me. I said, sir, you do not know what I am going through. Yeah. I can barely work for 4 hours a day. Yeah. My medicines and my condition makes me sleepy almost throughout the rest of the day. It's very difficult. You don't know what I am going through.
Yeah.
All right. So you know the response, Puneet. So work for 4 hours a day. That's enough. I know your potential. That was the mantra that I needed. Yeah.
Okay. Yeah.
That half glass full thing, coming back to that, right? everywhere in life, we come to that, metaphor. Yeah, right? Why not consider even those 4 hours as something as where you can do magic in life? Yeah,
Yeah.
right.
Yeah.
Every day, if you put in 4 hours of quality work and commitment, I don't think that is too less. Yeah, yeah.
Yeah, 4 hours is good enough to do something.
And then that year, I was an MDRT without bending backwards. Yeah,
Okay.
right. So the role of mentoring also helps. I was very fortunate that at appropriate times I got quality mentors in my life, selfless and generous people who have showed me the way. Whether it was school with our fine teachers we had a brilliant teacher, Brother Murphy, an Irishman. Okay, all right. He was a father figure that every student in the school used to look up to. All of these mentor, figures have come into my life at the appropriate junctures,
So,
to
so
be the part.
till what time you were in the insurance firm?
For another 8 years, from 2004 to 2012, I continued doing life insurance. Puneet.
Okay.
Yeah.
Okay. Okay.
And it was something that my one aspect of my nature is I don't do things in half measures. Yeah,
Okay.
right. So if I do things, it has to be with full commitment. Yeah.
Okay.
So with life insurance also, I learned all the ropes of the business, and I went beyond life insurance to learn about financial planning and wealth management. I took a deep interest in those fields also, way beyond what was required of me, in that profession. Yeah. Towards the fag end of that career, again I felt adrift. There was something which was telling me that is this what I have been created for in life? Maybe it was a midlife crisis, Puneet. It could have been that, where people are in that dilemma of, that
Yeah.
existential crisis, which happens in many people, So
Yeah.
maybe we shouldn't have to associate this with bipolar disorder or anything of
Yeah.
that sort. Yeah.
These
So
things
people
happen
are
to
searching for the purpose of life, right? At that
Yeah.
point,
Yeah.
yeah, something which would give them fulfillment. Yeah. So I was on the lookout for things, and then I was introduced to the world of blogging, yeah, in 2011-12. And at the same time, I started my social media accounts, mainly Facebook at that time, of course. Yeah, I wasn't very familiar with the technology. At least the internet part of it at that time. Yeah, we were from the generation way beyond, right? Where computers were not even there. I think 10 years after our college, at least in mainstream of life. Yeah,
Yeah.
right. Yeah. So social media opened the world to me. It connected me to thought leaders from various domains of life, and it dissolved distances, and boundaries. Yeah, that is a power which only social media can and internet can do. Yeah, which is very difficult to do in the conventional real, Puneet, I feel.
Yeah.
Right? Yeah. And I see people again. I'll digress a little bit. There is a lot of talk about how social media can be damaging. Yeah. About the adverse effects of social media. I would say, Puneet, everything in this life is like the way what you make out of it. Yeah. Right. You might go to college, bunk all the lectures, and sit in the canteen doing nothing, right? So it's not the college which is at fault, right?
Yeah.
So I think social media nurtured me a lot, connected to me to a lot of people, and one of them is Puneet Bhatnagar. Yeah, and there my life took a new twist in the path, right? I was already doing a lot of blogging by that time. And you happened to read one of my blog posts at that time. And I remember you telling me that you were asking me questions rather than praising my writing.
Okay.
And in the end, your conclusion was that I have been created to be a writer. That is my gift, natural gift, which I found very difficult to believe because I had not done any serious writing in the past. But see, it depends on who is the person talking. You had a vast history of writing. You were a published author by that time. Your family heritage has lined with authors, with a lot of creative talent. So coming from you, I could not just overlook that comment either altogether.
And I remember that we didn't know each other so well. I think that must be
And
the
not at
first.
all, not at all. In fact, that's what the first conversation we had was on phone. We had not even met each other in person, Puneet. Yeah, we had not even met each other in person. Yeah. So, and then that encouraged me to take blogging more seriously. And then I began thinking on those lines whether I can take writing as a career.
Okay.
Yeah, because it gave me a lot of fulfillment.
Mm-hmm.
It helped became a instrument of my expression
Mm-hmm.
to let out my feelings and emotions. Yeah, and it helped me discover myself. Writing is a journey of self-discovery. I learned, right?
Yeah.
The more I wrote with the conviction, I began understanding myself well. It is almost like a meditative process. Yes, my self-awareness level increased a lot. During that process, I wrote another post, which was part of a series, at the crossroads of life. That was the name of the series. It was part 1, part 2, part 3, the various junctures of my personal life. Yeah. And this particular post was at the crossroads of life 3. Yeah.
Okay.
And that was about my narration of my recovery from bipolar disorder. That I had posted on my personal blog. Now that blog post way back in 2012 generated a lot of feedback, comments, some controversial ones also, because people feel that you are attention seeking, right? Yeah. That's how reactions, you'll always get various reactions. Everything won't be on the same track, right? But certainly it evoked interest. And you happen to read that blog also, right? Yeah. And we had a lengthy discussion after that, right? Out of the discussion came the concept of the need to elevate this to another level. To be precise, to create a community out of it, initially based on the internet, right? It would be based on
and I remember I pestered you a lot, Vijay, and for a very selfish reason, I would say, because 2 of my friends they are very close relatives, I would say family members, were bipolar, and they were not ready to accept it.
Oh, yes.
And they were going through a lot of turmoil in life, and I knew about that. And when you started writing about it so openly, I thought you can become the voice around which all those people can gather, and perhaps they will get some what I would say, some power, some force they can hold on to.
Very true.
Yeah.
Absolutely true, Puneet. And honestly, most of your ideas, I began with doubting first. Yeah, let me be very truthful. Yeah, I did not have conviction in the vision that you held for the organization going ahead. Very truthfully. Yeah. So I even suggested to you the easier path, that let's start a Facebook group. You said that let's create some model which will have a longer, more lasting legacy, right?
Yeah.
And I remember on the very day you called me back in the evening. We discussed the coinage of the name Bipolar. That was your idea, Bipolar India, right? You registered the domain right away, and then I think within the next day, you had the website up also, right? Yeah.
Yeah, very basic.
The shell of the website was up, right? For me to work on and proceed with. And then, as typically happens with us, I was in that mode of procrastination, Puneet. Yeah. This was in 2013. Yeah, we are talking about. Yeah.
Okay. Yeah.
You set it up in March 2013. I remember very
Okay. I don't
clearly.
remember.
I remember because these are very important milestones in my life, Puneet. It was March 2013, and it took us 2 months to sort of really take off. Because how did it again happen? You gave me a call one evening, yeah, that Vijay, it's been all this while we have set up the site, and what's happening? What are you doing? And my excuses were, no, I want to come up with the right content. I'm working on it. It has to be powerful. So I was holding back. There was some excuses, and you were crystal clear in what you wanted out of it. You said, you did not give me any leeway or rope sort of excuse, run away. So no, long rope to sort of,
I told you for very selfish reasons, because if you wouldn't have done it, who would have done it? Because people don't want to tell other people.
Yeah. No, and I remember when you literally told me it's either today or it will never be. It came to that juncture. In anger, you told me it will either be today or it won't be, and that sort of affected me. Challenge. Puneet said that. Now I have to live up to something. Right? He's created something for us. I sat up to late into the night. 3 in the morning, Bipolar India was launched. And then the next day, I shared that post with you. Right? Yeah. And then there was no looking back. See, getting started, as we all know, is sometimes the toughest part. Yeah. Of course, perseverance has a role to play subsequently, but sometimes the most difficult part is the beginning, right? If you don't begin, nothing's going to happen, right?
Yeah. And I totally believe in this, and I'm notorious, Vijay, for those kind of calls, because I have made those calls to many people who are hearing me today. They would know. I don't believe in do I know this person? Am I too senior to talk to somebody who is very junior? When I see an idea, I just push. And when I see somebody who can do it, that's my role in life, I think.
Right.
So thank you so much for remembering all those dates and.
No. I mean, those are they are embedded in my life. I don't have to note down anything. It's embedded in my life, Puneet. Yeah, right. Because they're turning points in the we call them pivotal points. Pivotal points where your path takes a different route altogether.
And sometimes we don't know where the thing will go. We started with certain vision, but now tell us how it went. You started writing Bipolar India, that dedicated website. What happened then?
See, again, you start something in a field which is raw. It needs tons of patience. I learned it the hard way. Yeah. For instance, for the first couple of years, we did not get we received very little interaction from the Indian community, users, which was our target audience. What was the core purpose of behind Bipolar India? Was not just sharing my story, but building a community for people living with this condition, for their caregivers, so they could connect with us, right? So what was happening was 80% of the users who were connecting with me and sharing feedback in the comment section, appreciating me and all that, were from the US and maybe some countries from the Europe, which was self-defeating. I mean, this is not my target segment, I was telling you. And we also had a conversation in between, and you said that you'll have to be patient for the long run. This is going to happen. Just hold on to what you're doing, right? It took about a period of 2 years for the floodgates to open. It came in the form of a single comment. And the stigma, even back then, Puneet, was so much. How would a person comment on the blog post without, worrying about, now everybody will discover mujhe bipolar disorder hai. That stigma. And that is for real. I mean, you can't discount it. That stigma is stifling in society. Yeah, it's a factor that we cannot sort of overlook.
Yeah.
So how did it begin? My cousin has this illness.
Okay.
My
So
office
people,
colleague has this illness.
okay. So
Yeah.
people not saying that I have this illness, but they referring to it. Okay.
Right. So at least that with those conversations, how do I help him? And then these things happen. But that gave hope to other people, and then gradually, then other people opened up in the first person names, not even using a pseudonym.
Okay.
I think that was a turning point in the community really opening up. Right.
Yeah.
That was something momentous that in a country like India, people are writing under their own names without holding back, sharing their deepest of struggles, that I am a failure in life, that there's no purpose in me living, some very disturbing stories, Puneet, let me tell you this. Yeah. But so honestly, that was being shared. That was momentous, way back then when awareness was very little. And this was all happening online, right up to then. Yeah. All the communication was happening online.
Yeah.
So then we needed to sort of expand to the next level. And what was the next level? Was obvious next level to progress was to hold offline meets, which is the crux of any community, the bonding in person, whether it is a small meet, large meet, does not matter. But face-to-face meetings have their own significance, and power. So, but how do I start this meeting, these kind of meetings? I need somebody to sort of participate, for people to come. So one lady put up a comment on our website. Why don't we have peer support meets?
Okay.
And our first peer support meet was born. Yeah.
Okay.
Right.
How many people were there? How many people were there?
Just that me, she came, and her husband came, and again then later somebody else joined us. All right.
Okay.
But essentially it was about me and that couple.
Okay. Yeah.
And I was so enthused by that interaction, and I realized how powerful this could be. Yeah. This was in 2015 I'm talking about. That I started sharing about our peer support meets on the website. Yeah, that we are planning to hold this. Yeah, because at that time it was difficult to communicate that even this is happening. How do people know? Right, very difficult to convey that message. And I decided every month we'll hold this meet, and irrespective of whoever will register or not register, I'll turn up there. I was sure that people would turn up. Second meet, only one person came in. It was held in a mall, and his wife was going around shopping, and the husband was talking with me. I said, doesn't matter.
Yeah.
That is how a movement is built, with the conviction to hold on, not to be disappointed at the initial, this kind of lack of response, you can call it in one way. Then there has been no looking back. Yeah. This is our 5th year now for monthly peer support meets now in Mumbai. Except for the lockdown period, we have not missed the meets ever. Puneet, every month we meet. Whether there is pouring rain, whatever the situation, people turn up. And you won't believe it. There are people who have come down from Pune, Nasik, Thane and all that. That distance hardly matters, for people coming to the meets, for our meets. People come from Panvel, Kharghar, and all those places, just to belong, to take in those moments of belonging with their community. Right?
That's a great thing for them. People who are living in loneliness, not talking about it, and suddenly there is a community where they can share without any inhibition what's going through them, and I'm sure there is a lot of bonding, lot of helping each other.
See, the biggest advantage with peer support meets is, if I'm living with mental health issues, my biggest concern is my psychiatrist does not really know what I'm going through. Right? What is the barrier? Yeah, mental barrier. He's just imagining all this from his theoretical knowledge. Right? And this is the barrier which we are breaking down in our peer support meets. So when a person tells me, sir, you don't know how depressed I am, that I can resonate with a story, right? Yeah. Then I can reassure her, don't You won't believe this. I have lived through the same days as
I
you
I
have.
have been there. Yes.
Yeah, I've been there. I walked the path also, right?
Yeah.
Yeah. So that, how does it resonate? Because the person can confide in a person who has actually walked the walk, right? That is one thing which helps in connecting. Second thing, there is a mutual trust between the community. It is amazing the level of trust you will see, Puneet. Yeah? There are people who have not shared their stories with their in-laws. हमको पूरी कहानी मालूम है.
Yes.
They don't even know the diagnosis. In-laws don't know the diagnosis.
Yeah.
And they can confide in us with all confidence. Yeah. So you can imagine the power and how much of a letting out of steam this is. You're letting out of so many sort of kept subdued secrets and burdens that you are carrying all these years, right?
It's a kind of liberation. It's kind of releasing, getting out
A
of the
release.
trap. Yeah, it's a
The
release.
release.
Yeah.
The third thing, they know that we don't have any commercial nexus.
Yeah.
Now, bipolar disorder needs treatment with the modern proven methods, right? Yeah. There are alternative treatment methods like people might experiment with like Ayurveda or homeopathy, but we know that only modern medication is the proven, clinically proven process to sort of manage a condition as serious as bipolar disorder. Right? So when it comes from a person who has actually recovered by using these methods, you can imagine how convincing it is for the other person,
Yeah.
Rather than a doctor saying, "Arey nahi yaar, Ayurvedic nahi chalega aapko." There, the thought is that the doctor is trying to pursue his own agenda. Yeah, his own agenda.
Yes.
Yeah. I mean, these are the mental barriers that a person creates. Already the mind is already going through so much. You can imagine the situation. Yeah, right. Yeah. Plus, we have a lot of misinformation coming from society. Arey yaar, itni dawai kyun kha raha hai? And all those things, right? Yeah. Sometimes your physician will tell you these kind of things. They are misinformed and they'll tell you this wrong stuff. In the community, they come to know what is really workable, what is not.
Yeah.
In the real situation, yeah. And they know it's not only the example of one person recovering with this model, but there are so many people who have successfully come out of it using this model. Yeah.
So I think the biggest thing that's happening is while people say that it's not curable, but they can see other people who are managing it well.
Yeah.
People like you who are living a successful life.
Yeah.
And I'm sure there are many more people like you.
Oh, yes. So, in fact, that is another, advantage. What is a community? Is it only about one leader who is doing very well, and then that others are just looking up, putting him up on a pedestal and looking up? That is not how a community works, right, Puneet? Yeah. The strength of our community is we have got brilliant leaders now within our, who have been sort of created from within us. Yeah.
Okay.
Very helpful, very knowledgeable, compassionate. Yeah. You can't find better mentors than them.
Yeah.
The support that they lend at odd hours in the night also. If there's a crisis, they'll take a phone call, be there for the business. It's very important. Yeah. This is very important.
Somebody who understands you, if you can talk to that person, that itself is a big.
Yes. To be accessible at any time in the night also. So our community becomes actually a 24/7 sort of a helpline, virtual helpline. Yeah?
Okay.
And by the way, I did not share this with you. We are also connected on the Telegram app.
Okay.
So we have more than 300 members just on one group, single group. Plus there are subgroups for the different metro cities. Okay. And our peer support meets have now extended to even Delhi. Okay. The Delhi has been happening for a few years now. Bangalore just started to take roots. The vision is to expand it to different parts of the nation. It should not even be limited to metros. Why only metros?
Why only metros?
The challenge is there everywhere. It can be done. The same model can be replicated anywhere. Yeah, right. Yeah.
And so I'm very happy that two of us just started something, and now it's influencing so many people.
Oh yes, oh yes. You see, one critical aspect that I would like to share here is Puneet.
Mm,
We talked about the illness. We talked about the grave symptoms also. Yeah.
mm,
So there are two sides of the coin.
mm.
This is not something to be neglected and taken lightly.
Yeah,
Right?
I was about
That
to
is
ask. I
one
was about
important
to ask.
message. Yeah,
Yes.
one important message.
Yes.
Because in my journey of 43 years of living with bipolar disorder, I have lived with for 26 years untreated and undiagnosed. So
Mm,
I know what kind of a period that can be. When you are just like a small paper boat in a vast ocean. Yeah, without any
mm, mm,
direction or sense of control. Yeah, and I know the power of treatment and a regimen that I'm following.
mm, mm,
So it's an important message to anybody listening in for
mm.
their friends or whoever they know. It doesn't have to be bipolar disorder, but it can be any mental health
And,
challenge. I mean, the issues are more generic in nature. Yeah, Puneet.
mm.
So discipline is a crucial part of the recovery process. Yeah,
Okay.
right. And now I would say discipline begins with a mental adjustment first. I call it the ABCD model.
Okay. What is that?
A is acceptance.
Okay.
And that is one of the biggest hurdles that a person has to cross. As I
Mm,
said, I was in denial before diagnosis.
mm.
But my strength was once the diagnosis happened, I was a very compliant person.
Okay.
Yeah,
Mm,
very.
mm.
So acceptance is there are people throughout their lives they refuse to acknowledge
I,
that there are
I,
people.
I know such people. Yes, I know.
So
Yes.
how does the journey begin then? Without the mental adjustment, nothing
Mm.
happens. Yeah.
So acceptance.
Second, yeah, B is for belief.
Okay. What
Yeah.
belief?
Now you have heard about toxic positivity also. Yeah, there is
Yeah.
a lot of
Yeah.
talk about that, right, Puneet?
Yeah.
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 So in mental health, you can have flippant comments also. Arey,
Mm.
you'll get over this. Kuch nahi hai. Everybody has problems. I'm not talking about that kind of attitude to
Mm.
nurture.
Okay.
This is something to inculcate with a proper roadmap in front of you, right? Yeah, that
Okay.
I'm going to acknowledge that these are my challenges, that these are the things that I need to get in place, right?
Mm. Mm.
And what was the thing that nurtured me and pulled me in my darkest days was the belief that one day I'll be where I'm right now and speaking to you, Puneet.
Okay.
I
So.
had that tremendous belief, Puneet. All right.
Mm, mm,
I would call it maybe spiritual nurture, I don't know what, or something. My marriage was in doldrums at that time.
mm, mm, mm,
And I said that I would be we'll be the most happily married couples you'll ever see. We are
mm,
today.
mm,
Yeah.
mm, mm, mm,
I would be financially self-sufficient. I am. Right.
mm, mm,
Right. I would be living a fulfilled life. Yeah.
mm.
And beyond bipolar disorder, I wanted to be a healthy person. So
Yes.
because see, we can't limit our vision to just recovery from one illness, right? So it is important to step back and look at the bigger picture,
Yeah.
right?
So first you accept, and then you believe
Belief.
that in
So the
spite of
belief,
this, you can live a good life.
yeah. So that belief has to be there, and of course that belief has to be backed by some concrete, that as we call it, method to the madness. It
Yeah.
can't be in empty air. That okay, I'm going to do well and do well and then do nothing about it. It doesn't happen.
Mm.
C is for both cooperation and compassion.
Okay. Yes.
Cooperation with your caregivers.
Mm.
Caregivers play a critical role in
Yeah.
a person's journey. If I have walked all this way, it is always important to reiterate I have not walked alone.
Yeah.
The moment I am put into the role of a hero, but there are a lot of sub heroes in everybody's lives, right? Yeah.
Mm, mm, mm.
So we need to be thankful to them, to be grateful to them, respect
Who,
their personal
who,
space
who
also,
who are those
because
people?
they
Who are those people?
sacrifice so much for you sometimes in your darkest phases. Yeah,
So
it is
today,
time to give.
Vijay, I want to ask you, who are those
Yeah.
people in your life?
Yeah, now in my life to begin with was mother is not alive anymore, right? Yeah, my sister was always has always been my caregiver. Yeah, almost like a Florence Nightingale to me in my life. Yeah, very selfless. Now my family consists of just my wife and my daughter. Yeah, we are a compact family, but we are very well knit. Yeah, and deeply care for each other and have a lot of trust and bonding. Yeah, that's all very important, I believe.
So,
Right? Yeah,
so cooperation was one thing, and compassion
yeah,
you mentioned.
yeah.
So compassion in what sense?
Now the two levels of compassion. I
Yeah.
think the first level is self-compassion.
Okay.
It cannot begin with there is hollowness within, and then I'm trying to give out.
Mm-hmm.
Can it happen? It won't happen,
Yeah.
right?
Yeah.
So especially, when we tend to be overwhelmed with our challenges, in our depressive
Mm-hmm.
phases, there is a lot of guilt overhang that I'm a failure in life and all that. Then I need to give space to myself,
Mm-hmm.
that this is a passing phase. This is not the true me. This is my illness making me go through all these issues. I'll overcome this. So that level of, giving space to yourself, to be kind to yourself is critical to not sort of, get crushed by that condition. So it can
That's
be
so.
counterproductive otherwise. You
Yeah. Yeah.
keep on saying, no, no, I'm not doing anything. I'm not, that's not going to help you, is it? Yeah.
No, what you just said, uh, Vijay, such a deep thought. Be kind to yourself. I think many times, even without the illness, we become so self-critical.
Yes.
So being kind to yourself, I think that's very important. Yes.
See, especially when your mind is being battered from all directions,
Mm,
the illness is playing tricks in your mind. There are so many
mm,
factors involved. All right, the
yeah,
circumstances around you, many things. At that time, if we don't understand ourselves, give ourselves a space and nurture, how do you expect the other people in your life to do so? Right? Yeah, and then give it back to the people who have been with you for your, in your difficult
mm,
times, and then expand your circle of expansion. Compassion. Yeah, it should not remain closeted to your family, to your friends. Compassion grows by giving more and more, I believe.
yeah.
Yeah. The more
And
you give, the more you give in life, the more you grow as a person, the more the fulfillment I get. Yeah. Yeah.
that I can feel right now, and I know the kind
Yeah.
of work you are doing and how the energy comes back to you. Uh,
It is so fulfilling. I cannot explain it in words.
yeah,
And in fact, even this was part of your predictions. Now coming back to you, all of these things were something that you had predicted. This is what the process would do for me, right? It's literally empowering me in that sense. Yeah.
mm,
So A, B, C we covered. Acceptance, belief, cooperation, and compassion was for C,
mm,
and D is for discipline, right?
yeah,
Yeah. So discipline again, mental discipline, as well
mm,
as then the physical regimen that you need to follow, Puneet. Yeah.
yeah, yeah,
So mental in the sense there will be ups and downs. Recovery from bipolar disorder or any chronic illness is
mm,
not a
mm,
linear journey. There
yeah.
will be ups and downs in the process.
Okay.
You can't give up and say, no, I have tried enough. For 3 years, I have been on medication and nothing is working for me. It's too
Mm,
easy to give up in life, right?
mm,
You have to hold on. So that mental discipline also, right? So
mm,
then again, why it is all the four alphabets are connected. That belief
mm,
will hold on to this is my big picture. Yeah, I want to
yeah,
be here at one stage. Yeah,
yeah,
so
yeah,
this is the hook which will pull me in my moments of despair. Yeah, right. That I want to be here at one day, and whatever it takes, I'll be there. Yeah,
yeah, yeah.
right. So and then the discipline of the holistic health approach. We talked
Mm,
about medical, the medical treatment,
mm, mm,
psychotherapy. You can consult a psychologist for your emotional issues and mind adjustment issues.
mm, mm,
That also helps immensely. In addition to that, all
mm,
these things work if you work, right?
yeah,
Yeah. We need to put in a lot of effort also. Yeah,
mm, mm,
because to come out of any chronic serious illness, it is not child's play, right?
mm, mm,
To make the recovery sustainable,
mm.
what is advised as a model typically is some, a mix of yoga, especially pranayam, which has proven clinical efficacy in overcoming anxiety, stress, depression, and all those issues. Yeah, calming the person down. Yeah, exercise releases the feel-good brain chemicals. Of course, it does. It is known as a. It is for the various physical and mental benefits also. It's proven. Sleep hygiene.
Yeah.
Our sleep is deeply connected with moods. Right. So observing those timing, not just the hours of sleep, the timings of sleep also.
Okay.
Yeah.
Okay.
So that then positive thinking, nurturing the right attitudes. Again, as I said, not the positive attitudes which would be sort of negating our struggles, not something like that. Yeah, one has to be realistic. Yeah, but the approach has to be constructive. So my positivity, approach would be from a constructive point of view. Rather than glossing over the difficulties, right? Which many of the Western sort of influences try to drag us to, right?
Yeah.
So basically, these are the nutritious diet. All these things are there. Yeah. So some
But then-
people, Puneet, they ask me, isn't this like you are sacrificing so much in your life? So I ask them one question, right? Does Virat Kohli say that I am sacrificing so much to be the best cricketer in the world?
Yeah.
Right?
Yeah.
Because he is driven by that vision to be nobody less than the best that he can be, right? Yeah. So why should I be settling for anything to be the less than the best version of myself? There is no comparison with anybody else, right?
Yeah.
Not in terms of career achievements, something. But I have been given a God-gifted potential. Why should I hold back even 1% if I can attain my potential?
Yes.
Right? Isn't it? So it should not be that something which is imposed on me, Puneet.
Yeah.
If we are driven by that purpose, it becomes a natural pull, and the discipline becomes very easy to sort of follow.
Yeah, and Vijay, the way you have put it, so simply you have put it, and it's so motivational, so inspirational. And though I know you for years, from I think in 2013, we started meeting and talking about various things. But today, I'm knowing you, the man behind this whole community builder, and it's quite heroic in a sense. Heroism is not just about punching 20 people all around you. It's also about tackling 20 demons inside you, and that's what you did. And you showed us that ABCD formula. I think I should not call it a formula, but an approach to life. And even people,
of course, that's right.
And even people who don't have the illness can follow that and can become the best version of themselves.
Absolutely. I mean, see, because challenges can come in any form. They don't need to be in health. COVID is a challenge. I mean, everybody around us has been affected in some way or the other. Businesses are collapsing.
So now you spoke about COVID. I would like to say that all of us think that we are going through a lot of stress. But think about someone who is going through this kind of illness. And through this episode of Brainstorming with Puneet Bhatnagar, I would like to share this message with all my friends out there that if you come across someone who is going through these kind of challenges, like Vijay's sister, she understood that there is something going on which is not very normal. I think we should all be aware. We should extend a helping hand. And if anyone in your family, in your friend circle, you see who should get medical help, should get it. Because Vijay and many others in the community are an example that we can live a normal life. Sometimes I would say better than normal life. We can live our dreams, and we can create our dreams, even even in spite of the illness, the
Very.
illness called bipolar or depression, and many other mental illnesses.
Yeah.
So let there be no taboo stop you from doing what you are meant to do.
Very
I
true.
think I think Vijay, on that note, uh, I want to thank you profusely, Vijay. Uh, Not just because you are here with us, but also because you opened your heart. You opened your heart and you shared with us your inner turmoils uh, about relationships, about you went back to those moments which might be painful, but you are doing it so that all of us understand uh, few things about what bipolar is. And I would also want to tell everyone that it's not that there are some people who have got this disease, this illness. In India, there is a huge number of people, must be in lakhs, who have gone through, who are going through this.
Right.
So please be compassionate to them
Yeah.
and connect with Vijay. Uh, Vijay is on Facebook. Vijay is a thought leader on Twitter. You will find him. Vijay, what is your Twitter handle?
All my personal handles begin with my own name. Yeah.
So Vijay Nallawala.
Yeah. Yeah. It's in my own personal name.
You just search for Vijay Nallawala and you will find
Uh,
him. Or otherwise search for bipolarindia.com and you will find him. Connect with him, and I'm sure that will be a great new beginning for you. So thank you, Vijay.
Thank you so much for this opportunity. And I'll just like to end with one note, Puneet.
Yeah,
By the way, I mentioned about writing and how it liberated me. In
yeah,
that juncture, I had also written a book on
yeah.
my journey. But I've realized since 2014 when I written it, and now there is so much water under the bridge. I'm writing a new book on that,
Great, great,
and
great.
that will be the gift to the community. I think that I hope that all the thoughts that I've shared here, I'm going to structure it as a model for people to sort of, implement in their own life.
I'm sure, Vijay, you are just in two, three, four cities right now.
Yeah.
But I'm sure the bipolar India, the way we thought of it, will reach, it will penetrate the
Yes, yes,
length and breadth of India, and you
right.
would be able to do lot more. And I would be meeting you once again, Vijay,
Oh, sure, sure. Looking forward to it.
and again
Looking
and
forward.
again, again
So
and
look
again.
for the major projects that we have in mind.
Yeah,
Uh, I'll tell the audience that Puneet is my sounding board. All right. Whether my idea is stupid or whether it is brilliant, you need somebody to sort either reject it or to sort of criticize it or to sort of give you the sort of, boost that you require that this is workable. Right. And then you need it from a person, although who is a friend, who is a very objective listener, and the comment will be very objective. Yeah. Yeah. And I would just like to thank a couple of more people, Puneet, yeah, before
yeah,
I close this conversation. Jennifer Suttle of New York, another
yeah.
of my social media
Mentor.
connects.
Yeah.
She has nurtured me through Skype sessions for 2 years when I was in a period of deep struggle.
Okay.
So, life coaching, showing my vision in life, what
Mm,
I was made of, what were my core qualities.
mm.
So I call her my sister across oceans, right?
Yeah,
And she's also nurtured me a lot. Dr. Amit Nakpal, you also know him,
yeah,
yeah, I met him also at one occasion, if you remember, at the book launch.
yep,
So
yep.
I'm blessed in many ways. When we should try to take credit for what we have achieved,
And
do not forget to give credit to the people who have stood by you in your worst of
that,
time.
that,
And
that is that I praise you for, because you always mention people. And I would also ask you about people who are working with you in the community
yes,
professionally,
yes,
uh,
yes,
and who are doing
certainly.
great.
Oh,
So
yes. So they have been also been very selfless in the support of the organization. Dr. Milan Balakrishnan, who is a psychiatrist with consulting psychiatrist with Masina Hospital in Mumbai. He's a generous supporter to the cause in times of crisis, not in times of crisis, just to be there within our conferences, in our conventions that we hold annually. However, Bhatnagar, who is a reputed psychotherapist at Manashri, she is also a panelist. And Zinat Jahan, another psychologist and a life coach and an NLP practitioner. These people, I think it is a design made by a higher source, right, of the universe, who have brought all these noble souls to support us, I would say, right? Yeah. And we are fortunate, very, very fortunate to receive their gracious support, Puneet. Yeah.
Yeah. So I think life is great.
Yeah, it is certainly is. Yeah.
It's great, and I always tell people when people ask me why you are so much interested in bipolar, they ask me, and I have given you the reason today. There's a very selfish reason. My friends,
Yeah.
I feel my friends should be happy. I feel their family members should be healthy. What more reason do I need?
Yeah.
And maybe we were destined to be together.
I believe very much in the destiny part. You might call me superstitious or old-fashioned, but I can see the patterns falling in place. Right?
So I think so. That's what I do. I connect the dots.
Yeah. Yes. Right.
And I think that's how the dots are getting connected. So thank you so much, Vijay. What a conversation it was. And
thank you so much for this opportunity, Puneet, and wishing this series much more success. May it spread positivity, inspiration, and ideas in the time when people are looking for these kind of positive, inputs in their lives. Distressing times, right? Yeah.
Great.
All right. Thanks a lot to the audience also.
Everyone who very patiently followed us. I know there might be some glitches. I know there might be some sound problems, and I can promise you that there will be a recording. So Vijay has opened up so much today, and he has told his story, and I will share it with you, every one of you. Thank you. So
thank you.
So Vijay, with your permission, can we pause the session here?
Sure, Puneet. Yeah, and again, much gratitude to what you have contributed to my life, Puneet. Yeah, thank you, and to the community also. Our community needs to be thankful to you. Yeah.
I'm saying it was all for selfish reasons. So
doesn't matter. The end result is what counts. Yeah.
Right. Okay.
All
Great.
Right. Yeah. See you.